Good morning and welcome to the sixth Pimento Business Development Club of 2023. If you don't already know me, I am Paddy Woods and I'm the director of Pimento Fuse, which is a new business consultancy built to energize agencies, marketing and new business. If you haven't been on previous calls, please use the chat box to ask any questions and I'll look to bring you into the call. Now, today's session is built to help address a common pain point agencies face: negotiation. Many agencies struggle to do this effectively and feel that they end up in a position that isn't suitable for them, which negatively impacts the relationship they will have with their client. So to help with this, I've invited a fantastic negotiator who is going to do a quick presentation to help share his wisdom, give you tips and support you in enhancing your own agency's negotiation skills. If you think about it, if you're dealing with procurement, they're always and all are trained in the art of negotiation. And without having these skills, you're going to start with an uphill struggle. Sorry, not bagel. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Bob Spence. Bob, if you could do a quick introduction to yourself, that'd be great.
Right. Well, absolute pleasure to be on the call, Paddy. And it's a great introduction there because you're absolutely right. Negotiation skills, you can be sure at the procurement end, they've got the basics. So we need to be at least equipped as they are. My background, in spite of my accent, I've been in the United Kingdom over 25 years. I am a Harvard-trained negotiation specialist. My background is negotiation. I work mostly in the professional services sector, helping them how to construct deals. And what I'm going to be doing, Paddy, is showing your team here today what I would call a fee defense system. A fee defense system. It's a system to support you when you're being asked to discount your fees. So that's what I'll be going through, Paddy, a generic system. So if it's all right, Spencer, I'm going to do a screen share and share my slides, if that's all right. So let's have a little look at what we've got. So we're going to share that. So this is what it's about today. So if you weren't expecting that, you're in the wrong session, I guess. This is just a quick overview of how this system works. So if you want to use the chat, that's where it is there. So please do put things in the chat. If you want to just send it to me, that's cool. Or you just want to send it over to Paddy, you can see there, that's how to move chat around. And if I could trouble you to mute your microphones as I go through this so it doesn't come through all across the call, I really would appreciate that. And if you've got any reactions, a thumbs up or anything, you know, please feel free to be part of this. So let's get into it. And yeah, if you don't know your own worth and value, don't expect the other side to calculate it for you. So if you don't know what you're worth and what things are, you cannot rely on the other side of the table to ascertain what they should be paying you. So let's go through it. I think we are in a world that most people knock the first offer of anything off the table in some way or another. So we shouldn't be surprised when that actually takes place. I'm based in Kingston upon Hull, which is in Yorkshire. And I can absolutely assure you up here in the Northeast, whatever the first price is, the procurement lead will look like you've pulled a gun out, or they will look like they're about to have a minor stroke. It really doesn't matter what the price point is. Some of the best BAFTA award-winning productions I've ever seen have been around presentations where the price was at the end and the procurement lead has looked like they need an oxygen tent. So you really need to prepare yourself that this is just part of how things are. But the great thing about this is you don't know what you don't know. So I'm going to show you a system. And Paddy, I'm going to be really ruthless with my own time. If I think my time slips, I'm going to go straight onto the system because I think the system's the really key learning outcome for the guys here. So let's have a look. We'll start off with just a little way of getting your head around everything. Everything has got a variable value. Everything has got a variable value. So, for example, we look at these prices here, and we're talking about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is not a commodity, I can assure you. It kind of is, because everyone knows there's a price point for it. But if you wanted to get a can of Coca-Cola from room service after midnight, you would not expect to pay the same as you would in Aldi. If you bought it on a vending machine on the 10th floor of the Intercontinental Hotel in Warsaw, I can tell you it costs more money. It costs more money from the private bar. And some of the prices in private bars are incredible. So we know, I think I can hear someone. So if you can put your microphone on mute, that'd be a blessing if you could do that. That's really kind. So if we think of something as innocuous and something that's a commodity like a Coca-Cola, that's got so many different price points, and you may even know of others. It's no wonder that when we're offering something like a consulting service or a skill set, the value of that can alter. And what can happen when you go into a negotiation, you bring your own biases into it. So it could be that what you believe is going on isn't in sync with the outer world. Now, I'm going to share with you some facts and figures from the procurement side of things, and I'm really hoping that this gives you the confidence to use this discounting system, because I can assure you that the procurement side of things, there is a value on the cheapest quote. There is a value, but it's not as much as you think. It's really not as much as you think. These are the different biases. I can't go through all of these and how they influence the way that you behave in a negotiation. But the thing is, these all alter the way that we behave. So if you look on the right there, you'll see a pyramid. You've got this, it's being recorded. This isn't my pyramid. It actually came from Harvard, and it didn't directly come from Harvard. It came when I was a negotiator with the South African Defense Force in Angola. And you can see there's a number of different variables in that pyramid. And these are all things that can alter the performance of a negotiation. So when I show you the discounting system, I'll show you how these things work. But they're real things. And that's how it looks big time. So, for example, credibility, it may or may not have a big influence on a negotiation. The amount of time someone's got. You may believe that people have got loads of time to research the market. It isn't so. Most people aren't that sure of what they should be paying for your services. Some people may have an existing vendor and they're using the process to get a discount from who already they've used before, or they may have only put it out to 2 or 3 people. But the idea that people have got the time to research the entire market, that's not so. Your relationship, that may have some kind of impact on it. How you've presented yourself, that might have. But I'll show you how these work in the discounting system. All right. So let's have a little bit of a start. Now, here's some things to take comfort from. This organization is responsible for educating people in professional procurement. And if that figure's true, there's 5.4 million businesses in the UK. So if you look at that for a start, if we were to assume that over the last 22 years, on average, there's 3,200 people being educated, of which you could suggest that at least half of those are from the public sector, the likelihood that you're actually sitting down with someone that really does understand how to procure in the UK, it's not that high. So the idea that you're constantly going into a session with someone and they're very educated on how they should procure, what the price point is, what a good service level agreement looks like, the likelihood of that it's phenomenally low. It's phenomenally low. This came out in 2022, And you can see that the number of people that change supplier due to price, yeah, it's there. Yeah, it's there. Some people are obliged to look at the vendor every year. Some shareholder businesses demand that the business on behalf of the shareholders does that. But you can see that fulfillment and quality is a far bigger deal. Fulfillment and quality, the fact that you can fulfill something and do it to the quality, that has a much bigger impact on why someone would use someone or not than the price point. So these are the things. These are the things. So what people are looking for is the quality of what you offer, the service, the ability to deliver it within the service level agreement, and then some form of competence during the transaction. Price will come out in the wash, but nowhere near as high as people think. I mean, for example, this is aimed at the guys on the call. So sorry about that being South African and from the Southern Hemisphere. So we're not very sophisticated. So if I put out to the guys on the call, let's say tonight you sit down with your partner and you say to your partner, hey, I've got great news. And they say, what is that great news? And you say, we're going out to eat tonight. I'm taking you out for a meal. I mean, I imagine if I did that tonight, I'm taking you out for a meal. Okay, I've got even better news for you. What's that? This is going to be the cheapest meal we've ever paid for. I've managed to find in Hull the cheapest restaurant that there is. Boy, that's going to be a high standard. Not only that, the wine in there, it's that cheap that Lidl wouldn't stock it. Not only that, I've managed to get us a taxi driver that just lost their license for drink driving, and I can pay them cash. And not only that, the babysitter tonight, it's terrific. It's actually a scheme for free from the local prison where they're allowing people to gain work experience with children. So tonight we have got the cheapest night out we have ever had. Now, I can't speak, being a bloke, I can't speak for the ladies, but I know as a bloke, if I presented that to my partner, I'm fairly confident where I'm sleeping tonight and it's not in my bed. Try it in another angle about price. Let's say your car failed its MOT and the mechanic said, okay, the thing that you failed on there, man, it's the brakes. Oh, okay, well, I guess you better fix it. Here's the thing. I've got access to some of the cheapest brakes available in Yorkshire, cheapest brake pads. Some of these are so worn through and they only barely get you through the MOT. So yeah, I can really kit you out with the cheapest brakes that are available in Yorkshire. Yeah, and I think Rob Clements has nailed it here. No one's going to say, I presume, sure, man, please put the cheapest brake pads. Please put the cheapest brake pads on my car. This thing about price, it is variable. And the last anecdote on this, just to kind of set the scene, and I will make the slides available. I'm a surfer. Okay, I'm guessing there's not too many surfers on the call. So I surf every weekend, and it's part of my lifestyle. Good for me, and I live in Hull. And I recently bought a surfboard called a Chipper Wilson. A Chipper Wilson surfboard, it's like an elite surfboard. It's probably about, I don't know, £1,400 sterling. Okay, so that's how much it cost me. So about 2 weeks ago, I play in a six-a-side football team, very badly, it has to be said. And two of the guys turned up to pick me up. One of them's a Polish guy, lovely guy, Kamil Chabulski. And the other's my Australian friend, Martin Burney. So Camille and Bernie come round to pick me up. And my surfboard is obviously where you'd expect it to be. It's in the front room. That's obviously where you'd leave a surfboard. And they both come in and I say, hey, man, what is this new? I said, yeah. I just got this. I got it from Long Beach. It's a Chipper Wilson. Now, almost in harmony, they said, how much is it? So I told them how much it was. And they both went, how much? why did Kamil Cebulski from Warsaw say how much? And why did Martin Byrne from Adelaide say how much? I'll explain it to you. I'll explain it why. Martin Byrne went how much because he couldn't believe I got it as cheap as that. He couldn't believe it. And in fact, he said, if you ever sell this board, make sure I'm the first person that gets a chance to buy it. Kamil said how much because he couldn't believe how much it was. As far as he was concerned, it was just an upgrade on a ironing board or an upgrade on a boogie board he might have bought for 25 quid on holiday, and he couldn't imagine anyone spending that type of money. So this thing about the price point, it's variable, and it does plug into the other side's value system. I always think of this quote from Alan Shepard when he was on the first space journey. It was Mercury, and that's essentially, that rocket was built with the lowest single price point on every single part. Okay, it's a bit different when the procurement lead is from Boeing, I guess. So let's just have a look at what this is all about. So it's how to present the fee and payment terms. Okay, now I'm going to use the word fee. I just hope that's the right word for the bulk of you. So it's how you present it does alter how people hear it. So the first thing to do is be very careful how you actually start the conversation off. I mean, if you start off, well, our usual price or our usual fees are this, you know, I might say, well, can I have the unusual price or the unusual fee as well? So don't preface the price with anything, because it suggests that more than one price is available. So the moment you start off by saying, well, usually it's this, or we find last year it was this, or where we are with this is this, it just suggests from the word go that there is more than one price point available. So you need to reflect on how you present your price point. The fees for this are £12,300, and that's exclusive of VAT. Terms of 30 days. You need it to be precise and cognate. As soon as you start saying stuff like this, and I'm just making sure I'm on top of the comments there, the moment that you use anything like that, you are suggesting there might be an alternative. The normal fees for this are the approximate. Don't use that word. Don't use that word. So try and work on how are you using the English language to introduce your price point. What it does, it creates what's called the climate of discount. It creates the climate of discount. It creates an environment where possibly there is more than one price point available. Try to remove the word between, because what happens if I was to say, well, it's between 10,000 and 12,000, you know, it's kind of reasonable. You can be absolutely sure the other side has anchored the price on 10,000 and not on 12,000. Even if your ambition is 12,000, as soon as you said 10 to 12, it's anchored on 10. It's an uphill struggle to move it from 10 across. There's two schools of thought on this. If you don't throw out a number and they throw out a number, the conversation's anchored where they started from. So broadly speaking, you're better off to put out a number yourself, because then they're negotiating you down rather than you're negotiating with them up. So some people think, well, you shouldn't actually quote a figure. The risk of not quoting a figure is that the figure that's quoted is considerably below where you are, and you've got to work it all the way back up. I'm going to move from that to Paddy, because I'm very conscious of time. So what we're going to look at now is the discounting system. And I think it's not that one. It's this guy here. And okay, we're in play. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Martin, you're actually on the money there, Martin. Yeah, you could put that, but generally, I would say make sure there's a firm stake in the ground that's the higher figure. Generally, yeah. Okay, let's have a look at the risk of this. So what you've got, the moment someone starts talking about your price, you kind of got two things here. You've got, well, you know, is it better to have 90% of something versus 100% of nothing? And one of the greatest films about when to leave the tables, Steve McQueen there in The Cincinnati Kid, which is a poker game. And sometimes it does feel like a poker game. So we're going to use this model. Yes, we can use this model, and I'll show you how it works. Now, what we've got here, and I apologize, it's in dollars, and some of this is in euros, but probably gives you a flavor of I get around. You kind of got a thing called the area of possible agreement. So the seller's target, which is you, then you've got the buyer's maximum price, then you've got the buyer's target, which is always going to be lower, and then you've got their minimum price. So you're trying to find what is the area of possible agreement. And the way to do that is something like this. So this is just a generic model. I don't know every single scenario that exists, but it's generally how to go about it. So the first thing is positive presentation of price. So always start off with the I'm delighted to share with you, it's whatever it is. So we know only to present one price point. We know not to use these. So what happens then? The other side come back, oh man, that's outside our budget. We weren't expecting that. Oh, that's too much. That's too expensive. The first thing that we need to do is to isolate if there is a genuine reason that they're surprised. Let us say Camille Shabulski wanted to buy the surfboard and he's genuinely surprised at the price point. I would only have to take him on the internet maybe for 5 minutes to show him what those boards retail at in Hawaii, what they retail at in Durban, what they retail out at Long Beach. There's a genuine reason why he's surprised, because he doesn't know the going rate for surfboards. So we need to isolate, is there a genuine reason why they are surprised? There may be some kind of technical feedback, but they think, oh, they don't realize we've included that. Or it could be that they're comparing another proposal that doesn't include the scope of your proposal. So you need a version of something like this. Okay, well, first of all, thanks for that feedback. I'm a little surprised that you're surprised. Can you just share with me what's going through your mind? Could you do that for me? You got to use your own language, and not all of us sound like Paul Hogan, I guess. You need to do that. And one of the things where it says count 1 to 4, we need to slow this whole conversation down. We need to make it a reflective conversation. The reason being that you will have arrived at your quotation, your proposal, after great deliberation. So you're quite right to be surprised that there is surprise at the fee point, and you need to get them talking. So I think count 1 to 4, 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second. When I'm doing that, I always get a pen and paper. So, you know, I'm surprised you're surprised. Can you give me where you're coming from on this? I'd really appreciate it. And then shut up. The next thing is on this model. That's called direct fact-finding tactics. Ask someone directly, where are you coming from? Where are you coming from? What's your point of view on this? They may respond with this after 4 seconds. Well, it seems like a lot. In the previous proposal we looked at, we got a discount, and they'll come back with something. You need to respond. And generally, I think this is true from every consulting business. People do consider what their price point is. It's not some random figure. Most of us work in a competitive market. We do keep a close eye on what others offer. And not only that, if you've got 5 or 10 years or even 25 years track record of being in business, an accurate charging structure is a reason why people retain clients and win work. So you need to respond. If they cannot give you an articulate reason, such as, oh, I didn't realize it included that, or it looks like the scope for this isn't quite correct, or the service level agreement, or there is a clear differentiation, we need to respond. Why not tell them? If you don't tell them, they can't hear it. And if you don't explain it, they can't understand it. Our fees are exceptionally considered. I'm glad you brought it up. We obviously operate professionally in a very competitive market and keep a close eye on what our competitors charge. Our accurate charging structure is a key reason why the practice has been so successful and we retain clients. Give them 4 seconds to respond. Now, can you see how that now plugs into the rest of this pyramid? We're doing 2 things. We're explaining that our charging structure is credible, which is important. It's not some kind of random figure that you made up while you were sat in the car park. And there's a thing called the power of association. And your position in your price point, it's credible. It's credible. Other people are paying this. This is the going rate. We always do research on our price point. We just absolutely have to. We have to do that. So the first response to it is look for feedback, give them a space to talk it through and see what they come back with. And you just test the resolve. So the next move, even if they go, well, it still seems like a lot of money, that, Bob. Well, here's a couple of things here. I assure you our fees are accurate. Would it put your mind at rest if I broke down the fees exactly into what you're paying for? Now, this concept is before you give a better price, give a better explanation. Before you give a better price, give a better explanation. So what you do is you'll make an offer. And the first offer is to break the fees down. Let's go through this together. So we're both confident that we've got the same grasp of what you're paying for and the price point. Again, 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second. By slowing it down and not snatching at another price point, they're slowing down as well, and they're reflecting on it also. So what's happening here, that's called reliever. I want to give you relief. I'd rather give you relief before I concede and a better explanation. For example, I do things like testimonials from clients in the last 3 months. If you think, well, okay, well, these guys paid the same price, they paid the same fee point, it puts relief that when that person has to go back and say, well, I went through the fee structure with them. We went through it bit by bit by bit. Other people are paying the same price point for the same value, for the same thing. Offer to provide a better explanation. Offer a better explanation before you offer a better price. Well, it still seems like a lot of money, Bob. Can you guys reduce it in any way? Now, I don't know if that's how you work, but the concept is the thing. So you don't actually address reducing it. You put a proposal. How about we spread the fee over 2 billing cycles. Now, at this point, we are being seen to try and offer something. We're seen to try and offer something. Again, you need to give them space to engage with that. So it's a 4-second space. Really force yourself to slow down. You can offer again. Would it help if we invoice a month later? Again, there are various ways of doing this, and in the time I've got, I can't go through every one, but it's the concept. So what we've got here, that is a concession. That's where that fits on the pyramid. It is a concession. Okay, they may come back, especially in the city of culture, with anguish. I use that word unreservedly, anguish regarding the billing, but there's no real reason apart from they just want a discount. Substance is a tangible reason. It's a tangible reason. It could be, well, we recently purchased a 30-hour program from Harvard, an online program, and that program was less money than what you're asking us for, and you're not Harvard. That could be a tangible reason. You know, I could argue back, well, that's true, but the material comes from the same source, and the main difference is between me and a lecturer, the last time I was in a negotiation position on business was yesterday at 3:30. If that, do you use if, then? You can, I guess you can. So we offer a breakdown of the billing, we offer installments as a solution, and see what happens. So I'm going to go on to the next set of slides here. So we're going into the final thing. Oh boy. All right. And there we go. So we know about that. So we've tried that. We've tried to reduce the pain. Okay. Now, this assumes something, and I'll show you how it works. I'm a sole trader technically. I do negotiation training, coaching, preparation, and I work with 3 associates. But essentially, you could argue that, well, they weren't all in the South African Defence Force doing negotiation. That's true, and that's mostly what people are buying. But I do have a business partner. Now, this is what I would call the oldest way of doing this, and you can be absolutely sure procurement are doing it back to you, and it's called good cop, bad cop. That's right, good cop, bad cop. You've ever had it? Oh, Bob, I love this proposal. I really want to work with you. But the thing is, man, it's finance. We've spent most of our budget for this quarter, and the guy in finance, he's just such a so-and-so. If you could just give me something, I think I could get it over the line. That's good cop, bad cop. So you need to have a position. What do you say if you're Mr. Trump? Mountain Trump, Mr. Trump. I don't know, man. Make sure you can actually say that you don't have the authority. So I make it clear that I'm working with other people. I'm making it clear that I have a business partner. I do. She sources most of my work. So I say, well, the first thing is I just don't have the authority to discount the fee. I am listening carefully to what you say. This relationship is important to me, but I just don't have the authority. Give them chance to invade that silence. But they could come back and say, well, if you can't do that, we just can't move forward. Or words to that effect. I just put Mr. Trump in there. You can tell I was doing something across the Atlantic last week, but hey. So then what you do, I'd say, well, look, I value this relationship and I am prepared to speak to Angela. She's the only person who could authorize a rethink of the billing. She's the only person. She runs it. I'm prepared to speak to her. So you can see there, do not say discount. It's a rethink of the billing. Can you see what we've got there? A constraint base. I have a constraint. I have a constraint. The constraint is I am not the final decision maker. I have to ask someone if I wish to alter the billing, if I wish to alter any part of this proposal, I have to get sign off. I have to speak. That's a constraint. So what happens next is this. Just ask, is that what you want me to do? So this technique has slowed down the discount reaction. So you're also communicating, you have to follow a process, and you're engaging the prospect or the client. Is that what you want? Is that what you want me to do? I had to speak to Angela. I'm prepared to speak to Angela. Our relationship's important. Is that what you want me to do? And they've come back, yeah, I want you to do that. So what you've got, you're keeping your relationship with them intact, and you've kind of moved yourself out of this adversarial position that you're defending the price point. It's not, it's Angela. Well, the thing is, Angela's going to say one or two things. So help me with this. Help me with this. Help me with this. Angela's going to basically say one or two things. She'll say, so we can understand, why is the prospect disputing the billing or questioning the billing or looking for an alternative price point? And what's the figure the client thinks we should settle at? I've got a pen and paper, so please fire away, give me your feedback. So you might get stuff like, well, I'm not disputing the billing, and I'm not disputing your explanation, and I'm not disputing how you're going about this, and I can see where it is, but it's just too much. It's just too much. It just is too much. Okay. So she's going to say to me, what do you think it should be? Using that model, most people ask for around about 10%. Using that model. Unless you're in Yorkshire. It's a much higher figure. So what we've got the right power currency here. So we have said that Angela's got the power. We've used that power by asking what do you think it should be? So we can respond to that. So whether they agree or not, whether it's 5% or 10%, this is what I do. I say, okay, 10%. Let me just work this out. Could you even give me a coffee while I work this out? 50% it needs. Man, is that Rob McClements? It certainly is. Man, I can believe it, man. I can believe it. If anyone can negotiate in Leeds and Hull, man, you must be a ninja. You must be like a black belt in resisting price discounts. I take my hat off to you, Rob. So whatever they suggest, what you need to do is just say you need to calculate it. Now, there's a reason for this. There's a reason for this. If I just say to you, okay, then it's kind of like all that's happened is we've spoken for 10 minutes and I've just wiped 10% off of a 25 grand proposal. So the price couldn't be that accurate to start with if I can just shrug my shoulders and say, yeah, sure, we can do it. What you'll find by getting your head down and asking for a coffee, can I just work on this just for 5 minutes? You're actually demonstrating there's some kind of process, some kind of behavior. One of the best people for doing this is a guy called Colonel Tom Parker. And this can be known as the Colonel Tom Parker close, because whenever anybody tried to get the price on Elvis, he always started making notes and got his head down. And there's a terrific story out there that when Elvis was asked to open this, I can't remember the name of the hotel, but he didn't open the hotel. Barbara Streisand opened it about 2 weeks before. So this was back in 1968. Barbara Streisand sent in a huge negotiation team. It might have been the McCain organization. And they went in and got a price point. But Colonel Parker managed to get at least 15% more because his negotiation method was so lengthy. He didn't come in with the price. He said, look, I need to work it out. I really need to work this out. I just don't know if Elvis can perform at that point. We really need to go through this. It's just not easy to put Elvis on stage. There's a hell of a lot of cost behind that. I need to work this out. Now, okay, you're not putting Elvis on stage, but if you give the impression you can just casually give away 10%, that's not what to do. So you put your head down, and you don't have to recalculate anything. I mean, if you wanted to, I guess you could. This is in euros. You could start thinking, okay, how much more do I need to sell to stay in business? And you could go through the calculation. You could do that, and that's a basic a calculation. Or you could just write a shopping list. I don't know, but you need to demonstrate that you're having to think about it. It's not an easy thing to do. You can't just give away 10% of a well-researched document. You do want to understand why they don't like the price point. You want to be sure that they've understood exactly the quality, the quantity of what you're doing. And yet you want to keep the relationship there. You've got to go back to Donald Trump or Angela if you're lucky, and you need to work out, what can I go back with? And that's knowledge base. And that cuts into profit currency, the way you look for profit. You need to be clear that you cannot just randomly shave off 10%. So what you could do is this. Oh, look, I've gone through this and I've enjoyed the coffee, the free coffee. I'm going to go back to Angela. If Angela accepted 8%, not 10%, do you think we could settle at that figure? I can't be sure she will. I've got the arguments, and she's going to blame me for creating this conversation, but our relationship's important. Do you think we could work at this figure? Is that possible? Now, the technique is that almost we're mediating on the client's behalf with our own company. You've got to use the language that works for you, but again, it's another opportunity to try and slow it down. And what we've got there, we've got another concession, and we've got offset. We've got offset here. We're saying, look, I'll go to Angela if you can get me 8%. So the concept is to devolve authority. I'm going to be asked, did we get the pricing wrong? What do they think it should be? And always quote the discount as a percentage, not a figure. So don't quote it as £2,500. Just say, in real terms, I'm asking for 10%, and it's just the same as if your boss asked you for 10% from somewhere. It's not as straightforward for me as it is for you, but I want to make this work. We can do a great job for you. Now, by doing this with the free coffee, it's to attempt to keep the conversation flowing and not to cave early. Because if you follow that process, there are kind of 10 gates for the discounts got to get through before we get one. If you follow that process, it'll slow down the discounting offer. You're keeping the conversation flowing. You're going to find out commercial information. So it could be they say, look, so-and-so said they can do it for this, which is 7% less than you're quoting. You think, okay. Can I just work on this now? We want this. We could do a great job. You're trying to get the other party to start to engage. We want this. Of course we do. But 10%, it's the same for 10% for you. I'll work on it. Could we agree on 8? Oh, you've mentioned 7. So really it's 6. Okay. Can I just have some time to work on it? And all the way through it, you're trying to de-escalate this adversarial approach to, they say one thing, you say something else. If they try and discount you 5 times, there is research that they do want your offer. They do want your offer, and your offer is more robust than you think. Now, that, Paddy, is one of about a dozen ways of using that pyramid, but I just selected that one for this. And if you're the lead person, you do need to practice resisting this. Yeah, there's a reason for that, because it's not so straightforward in the heat of a meeting to slow things down. You know, I think all of us that are business development leads, we're looking to get stuff over the line. We have got the real concern: is 90% of something better than 100% of nothing? Is that really a better deal for us at this moment? I know our order books aren't that full, and after February, we really need this work just to wash our face. I get that, but don't train yourself to slow it down. What I'd also recommend, I'm sure people are going to wince, record yourself doing it. I don't know what vocabulary you've got or what language you use in a meeting, but just presume, especially me and Rob, because we're in Leeds and Hull, people are always going to go, how much? Did you like that accent, Rob? That's my local accent. I'll do it again. How much? Okay, I won't do it again, Paddy. I can see people coming off the call. Yeah, you kind of, you've just got to assume, that people are just going to, I don't know, look like they're close to a cardiac arrest the moment you come to the pricing structure. They're going to. It's their job that no matter what the price point is. My mum is South African, obviously, and she lives with me, which is not so obvious. But when we go out, no matter what the price of something is, she almost looks insulted. And at times, I'm just trying to explain that doesn't help us. I'll give you the most recent one, and then we'll wrap up and see if there's questions. We recently had a downstairs toilet installed, and I'm not a plumber. So we did what most of you would do, which is probably go on to any kind of website that measures a tradesman. The other thing I did, I got 3 quotes. And all the way through, she looked like I was spending the last penny that we possibly have, and it didn't help. In fact, I think it actually irritated the tradespeople. I don't think at any point we got better service or better input. And for the record, we didn't go for the cheapest one. I went with the one that had the best references and the best testimonials and could demonstrate they were using the best plumbing equipment, because I'm not a plumber and I want to sleep at night. And it's the same thing with whatever it is that you offer, whatever that is. When people negotiate with you, what they really want is to be able to sleep at night, and being able to sleep at night doesn't mean the cheapest. It really doesn't. So on that note, Paddy, I'm going to come out of my slides and come back to where we are. So I'm going to stop the screen share, and we're all together again. Brilliant. And there you are, Paddy. I think we've
well done. Thank you very much. That was really interesting and useful. John actually has asked a quick question. I've got one question as well, which is, but what's the value of free? So a lot of clients are sort of asking for, what else can you give me? What are the benefits? What are the value add can you bring into the equation? How do you sort of go about helping protect yourself, but you're not giving too much away, but sort of offering more to the equation?
Well, first of all, the value of free, it's not always consistent. You need to be sure that they value what is free. That's the first thing. So I'm going to assume or presume that you know that they can put a value on free. So for example, Paddy, I train a company that train forklift trucks how to sell forklift trucks, which is not that straightforward actually. And the freebies have a mixed bag of results. So I said you need to identify from the end user what they value. So for example, it was jackets with Suzuki forklift or whatever the hell it was on the back that were high vis. The company could get these for about $5 at cost, and that had a value. But we only found that out, I think, if they said to the guy they were negotiating with, hey, we can give you some free high-vis vests, they would have said, so what? Our guys have to wear high-vis anyway because they're on site. So I think with that, you have to ascertain what is free that is valuable. I hope that helps a little bit, because accidentally you could be giving things away that they don't value, and that has a negative effect. And if you are going to give something free, always do it this way, Paddy. So with the forklift guys, it was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I do know we did something about a month ago where we got our hands on 22 of these. Always put an odd number, Paddy. Don't say 30 or 20. Say 22. Really? Yeah, I'll need to double check with the PA of the MD. But if we got 22, we could definitely get 17 for you. But I need to check. You have to do that little bit of stuff, Paddy. Otherwise, people don't value it, man. They just think, oh, you know, if that helps anyone on the call.
Yeah, that's great. Bob, there's a couple more questions I'll bring in. Christoph, do you want to sort of unmute yourself and appear on the screen if you're still around?
Yeah, I'm here if you can hear me.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, my question is really is, and I've come across it when dealing with larger clients, is they go, well, we've got a purchasing policy, so I've got to get this through the purchasing policy. So I need it to be this, this, and this. How can you respond to that to kind of get around it?
Yeah, that needs a different process. If that comes in right at the start, you need to first of all, there's two things there, Christopher. One is, how credible is that statement? Because I recently did something, and I wish I could bloody name the company, but I was told at the start, we've got this budgeting thing, and I produced something that was for a finite amount of money for 5 sessions, and after I did 2, they asked for another 3. So it just completely destroyed what we'd agreed. And more fool me. So that shows you it wasn't credible when they said that was their training budget. The second thing is, you need to get that budget out in the open. You need to get that budget out in the open, because that budget may preclude you from being a vendor. You may look at that and say, that's just not where our skill set plays. So I wish I'd got another hour, because I'd show you like a step-by-step what to do. But is it credible? And you need the figure. You can't negotiate, and it's reasonable to ask for the figure, because you've got to say, using that good cop, bad cop. The thing is, my partner's going to, I'm happy to work with your budget, but my partner's going to say to me, we need to be sure we can work with this budget. What is it? And that's not unreasonable, because you've got, you've got your own business model to adhere to. And if they're serious, Christopher, they'll give you it. If they're credible, they should.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bob. And Martin, last question from you. Can I bring you on?
I really love the presentation, Bob, and particularly the bit about giving time to engage, because yes, I was always told to sort of shut up and let the other, he who speaks next loses, sort of thing. And I like your pyramid, but I'm going to struggle to remember it. So I was just wondering if I could have a discount on the boxes. But no, a serious point. You've got to go back to your partner or Andrew or Mr. Trump. What about saying to the other side, we're not making progress here? Is there somebody else in your organization who may take a different view? In practice, for me, I'm dealing sometimes with managers, and I know that at my level, if I can get to the CEO, I might be able to have a different sort of conversation.
Definitely. If it becomes clear to you, let's say they're using good cop, bad cop back to you, it's vital to get the other party in the room. It's critical. I have it myself. Sales directors don't want external sales trainers in. I get that, but the finance director is not happy with the margin they're making. So the finance director is saying to the sales director, we need this guy. So I say to the finance director, we need the sales director in the room, because no sales director is going to allow 30 reps to be trained by someone who's had no input on what they're doing. So that's the thing. You've nailed it there. You really do, and it's appropriate. We are making some progress. We need so-and-so in the room as well, so we can be absolutely sure for both parties we're on a level playing field, and we can work out what to do. You've got to do that, because, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, I'm going to bring David into the call, but one last question. I've got plenty more, but we're going to run out of time. So I'm going to follow up with a survey as well to see if we can do a a follow-up session because I think there's much more to cover.
Okay.
Yeah, I just threw a quick one out. I mean, I was doing a negotiation a few years ago with a company, and we did a cost plus model with them. Open book, cost plus, and the guy sort of pushed back, and I just turned around to him and said, "Well, look, what's the markup you put into your business, right? So why can't we have the same markup? I mean, you know, what's different to our business to your business? If your business is cost plus 35, why can't we have cost plus 35? I mean, is that a model that ever works in terms of negotiation?
It can. You've absolutely got to choose your audience for that. You absolutely have. Like you know, is the person that you're dealing with financially numerate that would make sense to them? Yeah, I have used
this bloke was probably the richest man I've ever met. So he had more money than money was not the issue here, and that was almost the point that annoyed me. I felt like saying to him, "So you're trying to screw me down to the last, dime? Yeah, why can't I just operate my business on the same, the same principles of your business?"
it is a reasonable statement, but I do think you've got to choose your moment when you're using that. But it's a reasonable. Yeah, thanks for asking.
Brilliant, Bob. Thank you. I would love to get onto the talk about payment terms and stuff like that, because we've heard some clients, Coca-Cola being one, bringing 365 payment terms, which is an interesting one to negotiate for another time. Anyway, that is all we have time for. So, Bob, thank you so much for your time. It was really fantastic, enlightening session. I got a lot out of it. I'm hoping everyone else did. We will be following up with a video later, probably tomorrow, and there'll be some key takeaways as well from this as well. If you want to get in touch with Bob, please do let me know, and I'll do instructions as well. So that's great. And just one final thing, the next BD Club is on the 6th of December. It's going to be talking about what 2024 looks like, what we can look to, sort of what trends are going, and what we can do in terms of helping improve our new business for 2024. We've got some industry experts that are going to be sharing their knowledge as well. And thank you again, Bob, and thank you everyone for attending. Have a lovely rest of the day. Cheers all.